Okay. Uh, 11,963. Today I will start immediately. Immediately. It's not an appropriate word. Okay. Today I want to start from emphasizing that this speech will be devoted to clear talk. Yesterday I already mentioned about it, and after I watched myself, I found that I can't talk at all. I mean, despite all of this practice that I had during last year, I talked to myself so much. I used the camera, I used a dictaphone, I thought I tried to talk out loud as often as possible, and nonetheless, I can talk easily. I can talk like a native speaker. I have many mistakes. I do lots of such unsuitable things like I can't focus on my thoughts. I can't do anything. It's like I don't complain. I just trying to say what is in reality, because in my uh, current in my current state, I noticed that I still can talk clearly, and it's why I want to start from this and focus my attention on this point. It's very important. I have to learn to talk clearly. I'll have to learn to express my ideas easily without such things as and it occurs mostly in my speech with myself. But when I talk with others, it becomes even more problematic. Yesterday, for example, I had a talk with my mate John, with whom we okay, he comes to speaking club again. Okay, he comes to speaking club, and yesterday we just met, and we had a hike, and we were talking. And from the beginning, I started to talk about my reading, because last 4 days I was reading this book, Jude the Obscure, and I tried to explain the plot, to talk about characters of the novel, and I found that I can't talk at all. It was such a, what would you call it? When you know what you want to say, and you start to say, but you see that your speech is like a speech of a 1-year child. You just use such simple words. Yeah, I tried to think in English, and I tried to conceptualize everything in English without translation, but it looked as I just think in Russian and translate it in English and use low, inappropriate words. As I probably talking now, I don't use some advanced words. I use only small restricted vocabulary, and about something that I do, I can talk only with this small vocabulary. Sometimes when I write, for example, I can concentrate on my writing thoroughly, and I can develop some ideas with an advanced vocabulary. But when I talk, I see it's very rough, and I have to do something with that. And for maybe it's just because I haven't practiced maybe a month, and I didn't talk with anyone and with myself, and that's why I just fell down a little bit. Probably if I start to talk with myself every day, I will be able to talk much easier, and then I will use some advanced vocabulary and so on. But of course, I from one point, it's like I think about it so much because for me it's important, not because I have to communicate with other people, but because I want to think in English, and when I see that my thoughts are so low quality, I just don't like it and I stop to think. I do something else, I try to learn more, I try to read more, and all of that leads to some kind of mess, some kind of chaos in my head, because really I have so huge passive vocabulary. I can understand classic books. For example, I don't need any translation to understand the whole book. I was reading 450 pages, and I translated only maybe how much, I don't know, not so much, maybe 50 words from 550, 450 pages, and I didn't translate them. I just found their meaning using English vocabulary, and I understood the whole meaning of the story. I understood the whole novel. I could retell it to someone, but of course not with the same, not using the same words and the same ideas. I just used my own conceptualization of the meaning of the story, and it was retold with small. No, it's like right now. Yeah, I just trying to talk, and I can't express myself as I want, and I found that it's like something bad. I have to work with that. But again, it's like a it's like circle. You can go from it, because really, in order to be able to talk and to think clearly, I have to think more. But I can think more because when I start to think or when I start to talk, I find that I do it not as well as I want to. And I learn more, but by learning I mean I read, I watch, and it doesn't give me practice. I have to find the balance between input and output, because it's really important. Uh, if I just allowed in myself, let's say 10 hours of information, and think and talk and write just only an hour, this balance isn't correct, because I have to balance it like maybe 80 to 20. For example, if I read 5 hours, I have to devote an hour for writing. If I listen something, 10 hours, I have to devote 2 hours for talking, and so on. Well, I will try to do it. I know it's like I come back to my old speeches, because I already talk about it with myself so much, and it's like, yeah, but it's, again, I I will not complain, because it's just an exercise. I do it for self-learning, for self-improvement. I know that eventually I will talk easily, even if it requires more time, because my expectation were wrong. I thought that I will be able to talk like a native speaker in a year, but now actually a year has gone, and I still can't talk as a native speaker. And for me it's like a disaster because, yeah, no, I can express my thoughts with a low quality, with language of low quality, but I'm not satisfied with that. I want to talk as native speaker. I see other people who talk in the internet, and I just I just touch my head and I say, fuck, I'm so far from this level. And I have, of course, they are native speakers, and they are talking 20 years in that language, and they are thinking, they don't think in a sense that I consider thinking, but nonetheless they use they use the language 20, 30 years, and I started using it only 1 year ago. That's why I can talk as well as them. But if I use the language several years, maybe 2, I will be able to talk as them. But if to be honest, I have to say that I don't think I will be able to talk like a native speaker even in 2 years. I have to do it 5 years at least, because 5 years is like a small child. If I start to think in English, if I start to use English language as my main language, as I do during the whole year, or even more, read in this language, talk, think, and so on. I need 5 years to become from 0 to 5 years old child, and that's why I shouldn't complain about my language. But I complain. It's not complaining. It's like it's something that motivates me to go far. Because if I already am able to talk perfectly, there is no point to maintain this exercise. There is no. Of course, I can create a new point. I can say, oh, it's like a video journal. I can talk about my daily routine, about my thoughts, to record these thoughts in order to develop them further, because when you talk about your daily routine, you can develop your thoughts further. You will not talk about the same things again and again. Probably you will talk 1, 2, 3 days, 4 days, but then you will see that it's almost impossible. You can't repeat the same things again and again, and you will learn something new. You will start to learn something new in order to put new content in your self-talk. And that's how I can use this exercise after I will be able to talk like a native speaker